Om Shri Sai Ram. Dear students, today in the subject Indian history, the topic Kushanas, in part 3, we are going to learn about the religion of Kushanas as well as the Gandharan school of art. So let us discuss the religion of Kushanas. They followed tribal religious customs. In the previous classes, we have learnt that these Kushanas belonged to a nomadic tribe called Yushchi. So the nomadic tribe, they don't have their religion on their own. So they followed a superstitious belief, some traditional religious customs only. And they came to India to the northwestern borders. They subdued Greeks, Sakas and other rulers, and they settled in the Gangetic plain as well as the Indus plain. In course of their time, they become more civilized and they give up their nomadic way of life. They adopted to Indian culture and Hinduism. First, they believed and worshipped sun god and other deities. And the real founder of Kushan dynasty is Kujula Kadphises, and his successor Vima Kadphises, they became the follower of Hinduism. Even Kanishka was also a follower of Hinduism. His coins gave a great information about the religion of Kanishka. The coins during the Kanishka's period are of three different kinds. The first kind of coins bear the image of Greek god. So it suggests that he believed in the religion of Greeks. Then the second set of coins, second kind of coins issued during the period of Kanishka bear the image of Iranian god of fire. It suggests that he took to Iranian religion. Finally, after his conquest of Magadha and his conquest of the capital of Magadhan Empire, Pataliputra, he met the great Buddhist philosopher Ashwagosha. He won his heart and he embraced Buddhism under the influence of him. So Kanishka became the follower of Buddhism and he supported the Mahayana sect of Buddhism. As we all know, Mahayana sect of Buddhism extol Buddha as the incarnation of God. But in Hinayana Buddhism, they don't believe in God. In Mahayana Buddhism, image worship was allowed. Live statues of Buddha were made and they do prayers, and ritualistic worship is essential to win the grace of Lord Buddha in Mahayana Buddhism. But in Hinayana Buddhism, there is no ritualistic worship. Only the reading of the holy books of Buddhism was made compulsory. And image worship is also not allowed. So he followed the Mahayana form of Buddhism. And when we talk about Kanishka, like Ashoka, he did a lot to develop Buddhism in India as well as outside Indian subcontinent. According to Roy Choudhury, have you heard about an important historian in India, Roy Choudhury? He states that Kanishka's fame rests not only in his conquest as on his patronage to Buddhism. He was compared with Ashoka for his promotion in Buddhism, and also we can tell that Kanishka is a foreigner by birth, but he is an Indian by choice, but he is a Buddhist by faith. So let us go in detail about what are the religious contributions Kanishka did for Buddhism. The first being, he announced Buddhism as the state religion. What it really means. If a religion is considered as a state religion of an empire, it means that the kings sponsored all the religious activities. So Buddhist activities are sponsored wholly by the king. And also the Buddhist scholars like Ashwagosha, Vasumitra, Nagarjuna, they are encouraged to write books on the practices and philosophy of Buddhism, and they are encouraged to organize and conduct spiritual workshop on the philosophy of Buddhism. And you all know viharas. Viharas means the Buddhist temples. Also, these viharas serve as the center for learning. And monasteries, the monks used to stay. Monasteries and stupas were built all around the kingdom to encourage Buddhist learning. And also, remuneration and grants were given to the people and also to the Buddhist monks who got converted to Buddhism. So like that, so many contributions he had made. The next one is the last and the very important contribution of Kanishka is he convened the 4th Buddhist Council, which is the last Buddhist council. It was held at Kundalavana in Kashmir in the year 102 CE. It was presided over by Vasumitra, and the vice president of this conference is Ashwagosha, the mentor and the philosopher of Kanishka. Actually, you have heard about the trio pilgrims of China, Huanshuang, Yixing and Fahian. So Huanshuang stated that in this religious council, at least 500 Buddhist monks and scholars attended the convocation of the conference. And the main purpose of this conference is to settle the disputes existing in Buddhism. Taranath, one of the Tibetan historian, he stated that this 4th Buddhist Council settled the disputes among 18 schools of Buddhism. And very important work, that is a voluminous literature on the commentary of 3 Pitakas, the holy books of Buddhism. Vinaya Pitaka, Suddha Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka were brought, and they were compiled into a book called Mahavibhasha. This book was compiled and authored by none other than Ashwagosha, and this book is also known as the Encyclopedia of Buddhism. It contained the detailed exposition of practices and philosophy of Buddhist religion. And the next important purpose is all the Buddhist literatures were reviewed by the panel, and then some of the important reforms were introduced in the philosophy and the practices of Buddhism. This led to the emergence of Mahayana sect of Buddhism. As we all know, Mahayana sect of Buddhism, image worship was allowed, and prayers and rituals were done to please Lord Buddha, and Buddha was extolled as the incarnation of God, which was just opposite to the Hinayana form of Buddhism. The next one is we are going to see the important contribution of Kanishka to the religion of Buddhism. He used Gandharan art as a tool to spread Buddhism. This Gandharan art originated during the period of Indo-Greek rulers, especially during the period of Apollodotus and Menander. But the real pattern of this art are Sakas and Kushanas, especially Kanishka. It is a great contribution of Kanishka to India. Gandharan school of art is a great contribution of Kanishka to India. This school of art flourished in the northwestern frontier of India the place called Gandhar. This place presently, now it is in northwestern Pakistan in the valley of Peshawar. And it is the home of, this Gandhara is the home of Indian, Greek, Roman cultures. This Gandharan art is also called as Greco-Buddhist art because it was mainly inspired by the Mahayana sect of Buddhism, and also it is also called as Indo-Greek school of art. It means it is a blend of Indian as well as the Greek art. The specimens were found in Takshashila, Peshawar, Kanishkapura, Mathura, Gandhara and most parts of northwestern India. The best of these Gandharan sculptures were produced during the 1st and the 2nd century. Yes, that is the period of Indo-Greek rulers, Sakas as well as Kushanas, particularly Kanishka. Now let us go in detail about the characteristics of this Gandharan school of art. So we could see the sample of Gandharan art. Yeah. So what is the main theme of this Gandharan school of art? It is the new form of Buddhism which differs from the old form of Buddhism, which is the Mahayana sect of Buddhism. As we all know, image worship was practiced in the Mahayana sect of Buddhism. So life-size statues of Buddha were in great demand. They were made in plenty, and in this the scenes from Buddha's life were depicted. For example, his life, his birth, his renunciation, his teachings, his preachings were depicted in this Gandharan art. So we could see the life history of Buddha was depicted in a single sculpture. And the molding of human body, another important feature of this Gandharan art is the molding of human body in a realistic manner. Very important characteristic. For example, the physical features like moustache and then muscles, curly hair were shown in minute details. You could see curly hair, see how nicely they have depicted it. See moustache, how nicely they have depicted, with the finesse they have done it. See that nose, eyes, ears, they were done very, physical features were done very nicely, and then the folds and turns of dresses were depicted carefully. The folds, the drapery run very gracefully on the skin of the sculpture. You could see in this dress, see how nice these folds and turns, it just run around the body of the sculpture. Next feature is physical beauty was depicted with great intensity. The eyes, nose, ears, with so much precision they have made, and fine drapery. For ladies sculptures, the fine drapery was used, and rich ornaments. So we could see rich ornaments were earrings and ornaments were there, and also symbolic expression, that smile and peace, serenity we could easily make out in the sculptures, the expression of the sculpture. And then utmost care is given to the symmetry of the body. You could see the symmetry, see the head, the neck, the shoulder, distance between the right and left shoulders, the proportion was very much exact. Even the abdominal muscles were shown in so much precision. We could see that it was a great stress was laid on polishing of the stone. For example, here polishing was done very nicely. And then what else we can see? So this is one of the sample of Gandharan's art, it is a terracotta. So the specimens were made of not only of stone but also terracotta and clay. The very important aspect of this Gandharan art is the technique used in making the statue is Greek. But the idea, inspiration, as well as the personality used is Indian. So as Dr. R.Z. Mazumdar, the Indian historian, has rightly said, Gandharan artist had the hand of Greek and the heart of Indian. Actually, the images of Buddha are carved beautifully that they look like Greek god Apollo. So in the first PUC we have studied about Greek civilization, we have studied about the god of beauty, Apollo. So the Buddha was carved, but he looks like god, Greek god Apollo. And also many life-size statues of Buddha as well as Kushan rulers were made during this in this Gandharan art. It all look like Greek faces, but the what is that? The personality all are Indian. Indian rulers as well as Indian gods. Buddha is an Indian god, so god and personalities and inspiration, everything was Indian, but the hand is of Greek, so he made it like Greek faces. So that's all we discussed in the Gandharan School of Art. Before going into the home assignment section, let us have a revision of to what we have dealt in the today's class. So we talked about the religion of Kushanas. What we talked, actually the religion of Kushanas, actually they belong to Yuezhi tribe, so they didn't have a particular religion, but they followed traditional religious or customs or superstitious beliefs. They came from northwestern India and they settled in India, northwestern China, and they settled in India. After that they gave up their nomadic way of life and they became more civilized. And the first emperor Kujula as well as Vema Katvisis are followers of Hinduism. They first started to worship sun god and other deities, and slowly they became Shaivite. So in the last previous classes we discussed about Vema Katvisis. He became convert to Shaivism. He became the follower of Shiva. His coins bear the image of Shiva. And Kanishka also was a follower of Hinduism, but his coins gave information about the religion of Kanishka. First set of coins shows the image of Greek god. It means that he believed in the Greek religion, and the second set of coins bear the image of Iranian god of fire. He took to the Iranian religion, and finally after his conquest or victory over Magadhan Empire, he met Ashwagosha and he was influenced by his Buddhist philosophy and became the follower of Mahayana Buddhism, and then he supported the Mahayana Buddhism, and we dealt three important characteristics of Mahayana Buddhism: image worship, and then we talked about the ritual and the prayer is a part of their religion to win the grace of Buddha, and Buddha was in we can say was extolled as an incarnation of God. And these three things were not in Hinayana. They don't believe in the concept of God. No image worship was allowed, and also no ritualistic worship. Only the reading of the religious texts were followed in the Hinayana Buddhism. And next we talked about these Kanishka's religious contributions. In that we discussed about how he announced Buddhism as a state religion. What is the meaning of it? So if government announces as a state religion, it means the king entirely supports all the religious activities in the state, and Buddhist scholars were given remuneration and incentives to develop the religion, and Buddhist monks are encouraged to write books on Buddhism, and also they are encouraged to organize and conduct satsang, what we can say, workshop like thing to develop the practice and philosophy of Buddhism, and viharas, monasteries and stupas were built. As like Ashoka, he also sent missionaries to foreign countries like Japan, Tibet and Central Asian countries, but Ashoka sent to Ceylon and neighboring countries. And the main important religious contribution of Kanishka is he convened the Fourth Buddhist Council, and the purpose of this council is, it settled the disputes among 18 schools of Buddhism, and commentary of Tripitakas were made, and it comes as a large voluminous book called Mahavibhasha. It contained the detailed exposition of Buddhist philosophy, and the entire Buddhist literature was reviewed, and some reforms were made in the practices and philosophy of Buddhism. It led to the emergence of Mahayana Buddhism. So when we talk about the promotion of Buddhism, it was always compared with Ashoka the Great. Usually the scholars drew parallel between Ashoka and Kanishka. Both of them were bloodthirsty and cruel before they embraced Buddhism. So both of them convened Buddhist council to settle the disputes in the Buddhist sections, and also both of them sent missionaries to, both are missionary zeal actually. They sent missionaries to foreign countries to develop Buddhism, and only one difference is that from Ashoka is, Ashoka totally renounced war and aggression after he embraced Buddhism. He followed the policy of ahimsa, but Kanishka continued to follow the policy of aggression. So that to say, Ashoka is not a king, he is a rishi, they used to tell. So the historians used to compare Ashoka and Kanishka and draw parallels. And when you talk about Kanishka, one important thing is he used Gandharan art as a tool to spread Buddhism. So next we are going to see that we have seen in the class. So Gandharan school of art is actually originated during the Indo-Greek rulers when they ruled India, usually with Apollodotus and Menander, 1st century. And the real pattern of art are Kushanas and Sakas, particularly Kanishka, and his contribution to this art is mind-boggling. And this art flourished in the northwestern frontier of India, the place called Gandhara. It is a meeting place for all the Indian, Greek, Roman and Chinese cultures, as well as the specimens were found in the most parts of northwestern India like Peshawar, Gandhara, Mathura, even Mathura, Takshashila, Kanishkapura. We have got so many specimens, and the best of these specimens we found are produced during the 1st century. Yes, that is during the Saka rule, Kushan rule, before that Indo-Greek rule. When you talk about the Greek Gandharan art characteristics, special characteristics, the theme is Mahayana sect of Buddhism. So the statues, life-size statues of Buddha were made, and the scenes from Buddha's lives were depicted, birth, his renunciation and his preachings, and physical features, the molding of human body in a realistic manners with its physical features like curly hair, mustache, muscles were done with minute precision, and the folds and the turns of the dresses were carefully depicted, and physical beauty was depicted with great intensity, eyes, nose, even the face, it's done very much precision, and the drapery, ornaments which the sculpture, which is of rich ornaments, and the expression is like smile as well as a peace, serenity we could easily make out in the sculptures, and utmost care is given to the symmetry of the body, the proportion of head, the shoulders, neck, the abdominal part, everything was in exact proportion, as if as if the statue has come alive, and the great stress was laid on the polishing. After finishing the sculpture, one of the important characteristics is polishing of the stone sculpture. That was done, and then it was made of 3 important important things. One is stone, terracotta and clay. And then the technique, the main characteristics of Gandharan is technique is Greek, but the idea is Indian. So the image of Buddha was carved beautifully, that it looked like Greek god Apollo, the god of beauty. That is why Dr. R.G. Mazumdar has rightly said the Gandharan artist had the hand of Greek and the heart of Indian. So let us move to the home assignment section. The first question is being, who influenced Kanishka to embrace Buddhism? Write any two measures of Kanishka for the spread of Buddhism. When was the 4th Buddhist Council held? List its purpose. And which is the main theme of Gandharan School of Art? The last question is the elaborate question. Describe the chief characteristics of Gandharan School of Art. So till we meet again, thank you. Sai Ram.